with my experiments, students can jump out of a hot air balloon and explore skydiving to find their free fall acceleration and the terminal velocity, right? They can launch themselves out of a cannon. What's particularly exciting to me is students ask these questions. Why do I ever have to learn this? When am I ever going to use these equations or this math that I'm learning in class?
This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
Today we're talking with Andrew Vanden Heuvel about Fortnite physics.
When most people think of Fortnite, they think all about guns and shooting and fighting. What they're not aware of is there's this whole other world called Fortnite Creative, these maps that have been created by a whole community of creators. And so what I did is, as an educator and as a Fortnite player, boy, I was seeing all this cool physics and math in the game, and I saw an opportunity. And so I learned more about this Fortnite Creative and ultimately got a grant from Epic Games in order to make some educational islands in my area, which is physics, as well as some curriculum that teachers can use for these islands.
So you've literally constructed educational islands in Fortnite. Are these accessible to the public?
Yeah, absolutely. I almost think of them as virtual laboratories. And like one of the things that's so exciting to me about this is that, in a virtual world, there's so many things you can do that you can't do in a traditional classroom. With my experiments, students can jump out of a hot air balloon and explore skydiving to find their free fall acceleration and the terminal velocity, right? They can launch themselves out of a cannon to see whether the physics of this world follows the same rules of projectile motion. And they can race a shopping cart, a motorcycle, and a UFO to see which one has the highest velocity inside the game. So there's all kinds of crazy things that you can do in this virtual environment that would never be possible. But I realized that Fortnite's not always accessible to students and teachers in the classroom. And so the curriculum also has what I call sort of data collection videos, which are actual screen captures of the game that allow students to collect all the data they would need to complete, a really simple, I almost think of it like a one class period, 45-minute exercise that uses Fortnite as the data collection tool.
What's your answer to the educators and parents who say, well, you're just encouraging first-person shooter and don't we have enough violence in schools?
Yeah, totally. Fortnite Creative and the islands that I'm creating have no guns in them whatsoever, right? And when you create your own island, you can set the rules however you want. So yeah, these islands live in Fortnite. And so that's probably why some schools are going to be opposed to it. But there's another opportunity here that I think is really exciting, and that is getting students to be the creators of these spaces. For educators maybe who haven't thought about Fortnite in this way, I think Minecraft is a helpful analogy, right? The tools of Fortnite Creative are so sophisticated and robust and accessible. They can be done on a Nintendo Switch, that students can be learning about game design and all the transferable skills that come with that, linking devices and kind of the logic and construction of games that comes with that. All of that can be done in Fortnite Creative, which is this super high interest game where students already are.
So 2 years ago in a Genius project, some of my ninth graders decided to simulate D-Day and the landing on Omaha Beach. So they actually took the information on the number of machine guns that were on the cliffs, and the rate of fire, and the number of people who were on the beach. And when they presented their project,
right,
and the whole room got quiet, and one of the boys said, Miss Davis, I think I finally understand more about what happened on D-Day.
Yeah. Wow. That's really powerful.
It was very powerful. There's no learning curve for taking kids in to learn about physics. They're going to be learning physics because they don't have to learn how to play the game, even if the teachers don't know the game.
Well, that's just it. And I think your story illustrates all the potential outside of the sciences, like for storytelling types of exercises inside the game. Another feature that Fortnite has that not a lot of people know about is called replays. And so even if you go into something you made, the entire 3D environment is captured and saved inside the game. And then a student or whoever can go back through with a virtual camera in that space and record screen captures. And you can create, it's almost like a 3D engine for storyboarding.
Yes.
And a whole story can be created in that space. So I had students last summer do this on a wildfire prevention project in
Wow.
partnership with an organization in California to create educational videos on wildfire prevention using Fortnite as the storytelling vehicle. Fortnite is the most robust version of the metaverse that we have today. You know, when most people think of the metaverse, they think of wearing goggles, but that's not the metaverse is a 3D social environment. And Fortnite is an example of that, where people are meeting in this 3D environment. Fortnite has all the intellectual property. You can play as Darth Vader, Spider-Man. All of these licensing deals have happened. So this idea of these islands and these universes where you have the Disney universe where there are no guns, but Mickey Mouse can go play with a Star Wars character.
Yes. So there's a lot of Fortnite islands and activities that are completely gun-free, but are rich learning experiences. Another powerful thing when I've interviewed physics teachers before is like, oh, let's make a trebuchet. Well, not every school can afford or wants to make a massive trebuchet, but they're actually able to experiment. Physics is not entirely easy to understand until you can perhaps see it.
Wouldn't it be great if instead of doing a little pendulum in the laboratory, students could be on a swing that's 30 meters tall and they can experience the centripetal acceleration that you feel? Well, that's the kind of thing that we can do inside a video game. What's particularly exciting to me is students ask these questions. Why do I ever have to learn this? When am I ever going to use these equations or this math that I'm learning in class? And what we've seen already in the experiments that we've designed is some really surprising results. One is gravity inside Fortnite. I've talked to PhD physicists who got their degrees from Harvard and Princeton. Every physicist will tell you that inside a video game, gravity must be less than what we experience here on Earth because the characters are flying through the air, the cars are flying through the air. Well, when students can go and measure this, and it can be done in a middle school classroom, you come across this really surprising solution, which is that gravity inside Fortnite is actually 3 times the gravity on Earth. And you can do a relatively, when I first did this, I thought, surely I've gotten this wrong. But if you rearrange the equations that you normally teach in the high school classroom, you can ask the question, well, what do I want gravity to be in a video game? I want players to jump really high, but I don't want them to be in the air for a long time. You know, like when astronauts were on the moon bounding, they're like in the air, and that makes for really slow gameplay. What that means is a game designer had to rearrange these equations and say, what value of gravity do I want for my player? I want him to jump high, but I want him to come down fast. And the only way to do that is actually to have high gravity with really strong legs so that you're really high, right? And it's a solution that's unexpected. It's a problem that you could never do in a traditional classroom. And even the smartest physicists I've ever met were surprised by the result. But it justifies to a student, see, you know, you want to be a game designer someday? You're going to have to use, there's a shocking amount of physics and math that goes into making fun and enjoyable games. And it's not about being realistic. It's about being fun. And we have to use physics to understand that.
We see esports growing in schools for a reason, and scholarships happening at the college level. There are many that predict within the next few years that there will be more revenue generated with big esports events in stadiums than with traditional sporting events. I just want to encourage teachers. Tell us about the resource you've built. Is it something that teachers can just go to and...
Absolutely. That was the goal, to make it zero barrier to entry. You do not have to do anything with Fortnite to use this resource. So if people want to go to andrewvh.com, they'll find links out to my Fortnite physics project. And there are 4 activities that are ready to go. Shareable Google Doc that includes a link to an introductory video that kind of explains the project to the student, a link to a spreadsheet that students can use to record their data, and a link to this data collection video. So the whole project can be done with just those resources. They don't ever have to even open Fortnite. But there's also links to the island code. So if the students are familiar, the teacher has a way to bring Fortnite into the classroom. It's simply a matter of typing in that island code and the student can open that experiment themselves. Because of this Fortnite physics project, I've developed some connections with a library system, as well as our statewide esports consortium. We're trying to encourage students to be the creators of their own games, starting with Fortnite Creative. We've run a few contests. We ran a contest this summer related to the Olympics, where students were invited to create their own Olympic event using Fortnite Creative. So there's a real opportunity for the esports community, and I know it's important to them to kind of continue to bridge towards academics. This is an important step in that process where you can take those players and start turning them into creators and connecting to transferable skills that will help them in whatever their future career happens to be.
We want our students to be creators, not just consumers. And if you look at a future with artificial intelligence, the thing that AI really can't do is create. So Andrew, Vanden, Heuvel, fantastic Fortnite physics that you're sharing for free. So thanks for coming on the show and talking about it. Thanks for tuning in to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. Watch the video version of this podcast and catch my new radio and TV show, Cool Cat Teacher Talk, on YouTube and a radio or TV station near you. Join my Cool Cat Teacher Classroom Matters newsletter at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. Leave a review if you found this helpful. See you later, educator.